He's a serial founder and ideas architect and one of Kenya's most inspiring tech entrepreneurs. The mind behind Kytabu, an app that revolutionized access to textbooks across Africa, and a Tribbe Nation, a a fintech platform reimagining how communities share and grow financial value, from tackling the challenges of learning with dyslexia to leading conversations around AI for Africa. This trailblazer is proof that technology can rewrite the African story, and one idea, one student, and one community at a time. I love that. So we're going to be delving deep into that. So just to join us on this little journey of ours as we wrap up the morning, do find us on channel 628 on OpenView, and at DSTV Audio Bouquet you can find us on channel 802, and www.channelafrica.co.za is where you can stream us, and also find us on our YouTube channel, and our WhatsApp line is +27 63 406 9126, and on Instagram, Twitter, or rather X, and Facebook, we are on at Channel Africa 1. We're going to be chatting to Tonee Ndungu, who's going to be my co-host for the rest of the third hour. Good morning, Tonee.
How you doing? I'm just setting myself up over here. How is it going in SA right now?
I'm good. I'm good. It's hot, and and I don't like summer. Yeah, I don't like summer. Honestly, I
It's
don't.
rainy. It's rainy season in Nairobi right now, and we are big fans of the Christmas season because we know the rain comes at night, but the sun is shining during the day. So it's a beautiful scene. But it's very nice to be here, and I'm happy to be speaking to your folks out in SA and my folks out in Nairobi.
Tonee, can I come join you in Nairobi? I've never been there.
What? No way! Are you serious right
I'm
now? We have
prop.
a we have a
Yeah.
we have a very friendly visa environment between South Africa and Kenya,
Yeah,
and so
listen.
so you could just drop in on a weekend and it's fantastic.
Yes, I want to do that. I've
Mm.
never been to Nairobi, and I'm embarrassed to say that. And I made a deal with myself yesterday that I need to explore this beautiful African continent of ours. So yeah.
Oh yeah, you have to do it. I think I've been to this year's 2025. I've been to South Africa no less than 6 times. I've done places everything from Gauteng to Joburg to Cape Town. Like I've been around. I've met good people. I love SA. In fact, this holiday, I think I'm thinking about spending the New Year's down in Cape Town. But it's a beautiful place to be. I love it. I love. I'm very happy to be African right now.
Oh, Tony, are you sure you want to go to Cape Town?
Well, yeah. Hey, I've not done it. I've had good stories, so I
It's
want to go and
very
test it.
busy.
Is it?
It's very busy. Oh my gosh. Everybody has caught on rather be in Joburg. Cape Town is stunning, by the way. It's a stunning,
Yes,
stunning,
yes,
stunning
yes,
place.
yes.
Honestly,
It's beautiful.
yes,
It's
I
very
think
nice.
you
Yes,
should
yes.
go to Cape Town. But my word, it is busy in Cape Town during the festive season. Yeah.
I know Dirty December really hits hard. A lot of
Yeah.
people love coming down to Cape Town, but more than that, I think and you've seen this, there's a renewed interest in the continent from around the world.
Mm.
And no, it's been pushed by Afrobeats, but also by Amapiano. It's a big move in that direction. I think the arts have really brought interest into the continent. But also the tech space is starting to look quite vibrant. The tech AI is really new globally, but then Africa has not been part of that conversation till very recently. And I think the four superpowers in my mind, if you talk about it in Africa for technology, South Africa is definitely in there, Kenya's in there, Nigeria's in there, and there's a lot of vibe out of Tunisia/Morocco in the Northern African side. So if you are anywhere in the world and you're interested in technology or you're interested in a good time and good people, those 4 or 5 countries are a place to visit. And in my mind, I know Nairobi, I know Kenya well. Cape Town is the closest to me, so I'm definitely gonna go and try to put some roots down. But
Yes.
Lagos and Abuja, I've done that. I'm good with that. I'm ready. I'm ready to do something different. I've done Lagos and Abuja well. So the obvious next step is South Africa.
Well, you know what? In terms of us being under a microscope
Right.
globally, it's people like yourself, Tony, who have created these digital platforms, for
Right.
us to stay relevant. And speaking of which, the birth of Kytabu, how did it
Mm.
start? What problems it solved,
So
and the impact of digital textbook in African education?
Right. So I started a tech hub earlier, like in 2009, 2010, and it was before anyone thought Africa would come up with anything in technology. It was called the NILAB or Nairobi Labs, and one of the things we wanted to do was prior to cafes being where folks built businesses, we wanted to build a space, a nexus point for development and technology to come together. So it was focused on development and technology, not corporate and technology. And once we built it and we started seeing, companies being bought for $300,000 and solutions being built worth $1.5 million in 2010 and 11, we knew we were onto something. And together with my friend Eric Husman and the iHub and the folks who are now at the CC Hub and the NILab, we built what was known as Silicon Savannah. I left that, exited very happily so, and decided what is the thing that I actually want to change on a personal level. And being dyslexic and struggling with education, for me, I figured education is a place to go. I had some time to spend, I had some money in the bank, and I figured let's go back into ed tech and see what we could do there. But the ed tech of the day was already done. Whether it's textbooks or dashboards, all that stuff had already been put out. And we wanted to start thinking, what is Africa centric? What works for a continent where there's a challenge with electricity, challenge with data? Data was expensive at the time. There weren't many smartphones then. How could we make this make sense? And Kytabu, which is Swahili for book, and it actually means the same thing in like 90 languages, Kytab in Urdu and the like, was something I wanted to build out and see as a test, as an R&D. Does this work for me? Is this something I want to spend my life doing?
Right.
13 years later, here we are, having changed policy, having impacted schools, education systems, teachers, learners, and just being a speaker in the space has always
Mm.
been a big value add. And so I think for me, that's the win. The win is being part of a changing system, because as you see it now, what OpenAI, ChatGPT, Claude, and all of these AI tools have done is the first place they have impacted is education. And if we don't speak up for our own forms of education, we will end up being in servitude of what other people have built and tell us what our reality should be like instead of us dictating who we are in the world. And that's what I don't want.
Now, Tony, I mean, this is really incredible. Now, this fascinates me. What were you like as a child at school?
Oh, man, my parents struggled. You know what I mean? Like, so I have both ADHD and dyslexia, right? ADHD
Oh
is we're quick on the.
man, that is so
In fact,
intense.
It,
Oh
it
my
is. It
god.
is. In fact, and the thing is, when I was going through that experience, so I just wanted to understand the mindset of my parents because
Right.
they were inclined to believe it was a discipline problem. They didn't think it was a manufacture issue, right? Like I was built like this. They were like,
I love
this
that.
child is so cheeky. Why is he like this all the time? And I struggled. I struggled. African parents love their slippers. They're very quick on the money, right? What is the problem?
No, you just
So
gave me a bit of insight on something because my little one was diagnosed with ADHD and I'm
right.
dyslexic, right? And
Oh, there you go.
yeah, so but I found my own ways of coping mechanisms. I was never actually properly tested, but obviously,
Right.
as times go, when I read certain things happen, the words would jump
Yeah.
around, and
Yeah.
a word would look like this at this moment, and then moments later it looks different. You know what I mean? So when I
Right.
explain that to
Right.
people, it's different because people, you can be dyslexic in terms of words or numbers. For me, it's words, right?
There. I'm
And
words as
yeah,
well.
so my little one, I mean, her books are ridiculously messy. So I want to know. So you
Ah.
are not
Ah. Ah.
you are putting things into perspective for me. You are saying that
That's right.
your parents thought you were badly mannered, but
Yeah.
meantime, that's your ADHD.
That's
So
right. That's right.
ah, wow, Tony, tell me more about this
It's
because I
true.
really
It's
need to
like
understand it.
let me give you a personal experience, right? So I'm gonna move the camera. I just want to show you
Yeah.
what my work desk looks like, right? This is my work desk, right? And you can see like everything is everywhere. Like my stuff is all over the place. This is a sign of how organized I am, right? If it is cleaned up and it looks organized, I am not paying attention. Like I cannot work in a place that is aligned and cleaner, and
Mm.
I call it organized chaos. I need to
No,
be able
that's
to
not
be in a
organized chaos,
situation.
Tony.
It
No.
is. Look, it's my system, young lady. Let me tell you something. This is who I is recognized. But the thing I've realized, and this is so interesting, is it is because I am very good at deciphering patterns
Oh,
that
wow.
I'm okay with things all over the place. Because when things are all over the place for my mind, it automatically remembers where everything is. The moment you start arranging my table for me, I'm like, okay, so where's my USB link? Or where is my this? Or where is my that? Because I have mapped it out in a pictorial way in my mind. I left this here, and when I come back and it's been moved, I have no idea where it is, which actually says a lot about myself and relationships, because I remember people
Right.
I met once 12 years ago. And I'm like, hey, aren't you that we at this spot that day, you and I did the thing? And they're like, how do you remember that? And that's exactly how my mind works. So for me, cramming, which is what the education system in Kenya was about when I was in school, was never my style. I'm not going to cram something so I can regurgitate it later. That's just
Right.
not the way I operate. But for most of our education system, it was always about, can you memorize, not can you understand. And that is where I started excelling as I got older. I started understanding, look, I'm actually really good at painting pictures, at moving needles in places, or drawing maps out, or connecting pieces that will normally never be connected. And the problem is the education system didn't do that. So I had to wait 15, 17, 20 years to get out of that system so I can be able to be in charge of now the way I learn and the way I execute. And so for a parent who has got kids like that, I think the most important thing is to understand that the education system isn't the only system in which your child can thrive, and you need to start thinking outside the box. And that's what I'm very fortunate with my two daughters to be doing now.
Man, my heart melts because I know I'm laughing and because I'm a very frustrated parent,
Yes, yes,
because I have
yes,
a child who's ADHD,
right.
and man, sometimes I'm just like, oh, Kitty, what are you doing?
Right.
What are you doing? Because sometimes you get to a point where like it's a discipline thing. You want to discipline and give it a little smack on the wrist, and then sometimes like go to the naughty corner or time out. But sometimes I'm like, what are you doing? I don't know what I'm doing half the time, So
Right.
it's people like yourself who are putting things in perspective, and
Mm.
creating these platforms, and it's amazing how your mind thinks. I feel like you are talking to my little one in terms of your
I need to show you
ADHD
something. I
brain.
need to
Yeah.
show you something. If I was in your studio, I'd come out there and I'd show you. And this is it's so important. I dropped something. It's so important to speak to parents with kids who are like this, because we are very special. This is Time Magazine, and they put this piece out. It's called "What Reality Is: Living with ADHD and What the Science Says." And I really insist on you finding this Time Magazine piece that came out. It's a special edition. It's a pretty thick book, as you can be able to see. Quite a few authors, and they talk about everything about things like, and what I hear you talking about, and look at how I was so quickly able to open the page. This is what you're dealing with. I'm going to put it in the screen. Coping with overstimulation, and this is
Right.
what your little one is struggling with, because the way we think as folks is kind of like your. I always try to say, imagine being a battery powered toy car. But then instead of having AA batteries, you have the 9-volt, 12-volt battery that's put inside a mainstream Range Rover tagged to you. So you've got all of this energy, all of this prowess, you've got all these chemicals running through your brain, all of these things that are happening to you. But no one knows how to work with a 4x4 in a
Yes.
toy car setup. And so to parents, I always say, look, the fastest way to deal with a child with ADHD is give them tactile assignments. This is when Lego blocks, this is when wood becomes a thing, hammers, activity with their hands. Because the thing about it is, if you give them brain work, their brain is overstimulated. But if you give them physical work, that's when they really get into it, because now they can focus on this bright colored, big shaped things that are in front of them. Which is why even in my house right now, and this is so personal, a lot of my stuff is super bright colored, and it's my house is very artsy, and I've got all sorts
Yes.
of things all over there. You can see my light bulb over there is also very
Yes.
bright.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
because colors tend, and this is one of the things I learned from this piece of work here, is colors tend to
Wow.
manage stimulation. But when you put somebody in a
Wow.
sedentary room where everything is cream, white, off-white, gray, ivory, like we can't do it. We're looking for excitement. We're looking for blues, reds, greens, yellows, purples. If you look at Kytabu's brand color, it's bright yellow and purple. What is that saying? it's sticking to the people we're targeting. These are young people who thrive in colors. They thrive in places where there's a lot of at least for them, visual stimulation.
I
And so
need
that's what we're trying
Kytabu.
to
I
that's
need
what we're trying to bring
Kytabu.
in.
I need Kytabu. I need. I need
Kytabu is an
Kytabu.
R&D company. So it's
Like,
not like we put products out. We do a lot of R&D. We're
yeah.
going to schools and we're like, look, this is how to deal with ADHD, how to deal with dyslexia, how to bring AI into your school productively. So what we've done for a very long time is we've done a lot of the research and the studying and going into schools and building very school specific and student specific solutions. Because unlike the US and other markets in the world, Africa is not homogeneous in that way. You have to get into a school, figure out what kind of kids they're dealing with, and then build solutions for our school specifically. And that's what we've done for the last decade and some.
And now technology as equalizer. Your philosophy on tech as a
Right.
bridge, not a barrier for African development. Please elaborate more on that.
So it, when we talk about, in fact, let me simplify it to Ivy League universities. Whenever you hear somebody talking about Ivy League universities, they're in one of two countries,
Mm.
the US and the UK. So we're talking either Oxford or we're talking Harvard or we're talking Stanford. We're talking those organizations. Or when you go there, and there's a documentary I would love your watchers and listeners to go watch called The Ivory Tower. It's about the $300,000 to $500,000 people pay to Harvard and Stanford and all these universities to come out into the world and find that a lot of the things in the world, yes, they have some privileges, but those privileges are eroding. Now, that documentary is maybe 5, 6, 7 years old. And right now, it's never been truer that intelligence is no longer the thing that sets you apart.
Okay.
Because anyone who picks up any AI chatbot can be able to discover very quickly how tactile and accessible intelligence is. And that's for the longest time what has separated Africa from the rest of the world. We weren't able to build things, to scope things, to extract things, to plant things. We were not able to accelerate or catalyze ourselves because we had a gap in our intelligence. That's why we're going to the McKinseys and Boston consulting types to come in and help us with whatever it is they're coming in and helping us with. The reality of it is it was always accessible to us, just not as quickly and as well organized as AI has been able to do it. So now you're finding startups putting together pitch decks, which are as good as YC pitch decks in days without the experience of going to these international organizations, simply because AI is allowing them to align it to the VCs or the private equity conversations or the angel investment or seed investment rounds that a normal child in the US or in the UK would obviously be able to have access to because it's in their proximity. But now a kid down in Houghton can be able to put that pitch deck together with ChatGPT and get all the guidance. A kid in Stanford, 2 meters away from a $200 million fund, can be able to do it. So now the question isn't whose presentation or narrative is better in this language called English that's not our native language. It is whose business case actually makes more sense. And you're finding that there's a creation of a very big appreciation now of the work that's coming out of the continent, simply because it's aligned and better verbalized than it was before, because most of us didn't speak English since we were, born. So what's happening now and what Kytabu is seeing is that that's going to cascade down. Our businesses are going to have artificial intelligence. Our governments are going to have artificial intelligence. Our students, our teachers, our doctors, our nurses, our miners, all of these folks are going to have access to super intelligence. And that's going to allow them to compete, at least as far as intelligence is concerned, evenly in the world. Then it starts cascading down to from intelligence to resources, from resources to support, from support to investment. And slowly you start seeing all of us as a continent starting to level up if we're able to take advantage of the AI boom that I think is going to be happening over the next decade.
Yeah. Now,
Mm.
it's very interesting, with what's happening, the work that you're doing on the app, and I think my main attraction is the accessibility of textbooks. Please tell me
Right,
more about that, because that's very interesting.
right.
Because accessibility of textbooks is such a rarity, and it's such a big need
Mm.
for our kids as well. But and here you've created that accessibility across the globe.
Right. So if you extrapolate on what a textbook is, it's really just, in my opinion, it's really just aggregated data or information that allows child to elevate the way they think about whether it is themselves or the world or their lives, right? So it's learning that is distilled into text. And for the longest time, we knew that the problem with text is that it's sold as a single packet, right? So try to imagine, going to have lunch one day, and instead of being able to just buy the lunch meal that you need for that moment, the restaurant says you're going to buy lunch for the whole month, and that's the only price range we provide you. So instead of buying something for $1 for lunch, you're going to be spending, $1 times three because you have 3 days. That's $3 times the 30 days in a month. You have to pay $90, and then you come and have the meal. And maybe sometimes you don't even need that meal, because if you buy a textbook for math, how many times do you do math in a month or in a week or in a year? And so the first thing we did was we fractured that payment into page and chapter and book per time accessibility. So you're renting a book, very much the way you don't have to
Okay.
have a whole cassette tape. You can be able to just rent it on Netflix. And for us, that was the first thing we
Oh,
did.
wow.
And the next thing we did was now, and this is obviously very recent, now we have created, or we're in the process of building out, what we call engaging content, or reactive content. So you're not reading so that it's passive content. Your content is speaking to you. You may have seen Notebook LM from Google that allows a book to be turned into a podcast. And that's kind of what we're building out. I don't want to put out all our secrets, but we're basically creating an environment where kids can be able to talk to their books, to ask questions, to get artwork done. And obviously this is empowered by AI, so that kids don't just need to rely on a physical textbook. Now they can go somewhere and for absolutely free, they can be able to engage with this content that they're learning. And the content can speak to them, help them understand it, help them memorize it, show them flashcards, assignments, and that whole thing. And that is the future of learning as far as Kytabu is concerned.
Tonee, we're going to take a quick break, but now as my co-host, when we come back, I'd like to back announce a song, and then we'll bring us back into our conversation. How does that sound?
It sounds good. I'm so into Thukuthela right now. I want to listen to a lot of South African music. Let's go.
Yeah. It's exactly 20 minutes before the top of the hour. My name is Phetla. I'm hanging out here with Tonee, and we are chatting all things about our kids, accessibility of education in a digital space, textbooks, and also reaching out to our kids who are struggling with ADHD and dyslexia. And we are making, and his digital platform is making this accessible and easier for kids, and education more enjoyable. So we'll be back in just a moment.
Es-tu préoccupé par quelque chose? Es-tu passionné par les questions qui comptent? As-tu une voix qui mérite d'être entendue? Eh bien, nous avons la plateforme parfaite pour toi. Téléphone-nous ou fais-nous un WhatsApp au +27 66 408 87 42 et nous te rappellerons. Sois dans la conversation.
Salut Channel Africa, ici Beno le diamant rouge et Binal Export depuis le Cameroun, le pays des lions. Voilà.
Sois dans la conversation. Il ne s'agit pas seulement de parler, mais c'est ta chance d'exprimer ton point de vue, de partager tes opinions et de t'engager avec une communauté qui valorise ton avis. Suivez-nous sur les réseaux sociaux, visitez notre site www.channelafrica.co.za et préparez-vous à partager vos points de vue sur Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 802.
Phuma nankosini yaphuma ndifihle kwingozi nentsha nayo yonke imimoya thatha indawo njengosomandla sindisa impilo yami kwababantu abalunganga kuba namhlanje ndibonile uba namhlanje ndibonile uba asilwe nabantu thina silwa nemimoya asilwe nabantu thina asilwe nabantu thina silwa nemimoya Bantu tina, asilwe na bantu tina, silwane mimoya, 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 silwane siqanjwe emoyeni ezimfazwe sizibonileyo aziqali namhlanje siqale emoyeni ngoba emoyeni kuyaliwa emoyeni 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 kuyaliwa asiri nabantu asiri nabantu silwane mimoya asiri nabantu asiri nabantu silwane mimoya 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 silwane mimoya.
Ooh, Nasi. That song is Inimoya. It's from his 4th studio album. And you're listening to Channel Africa. Stay tuned.
You look at you. Oh. Effortlessly done. Effortlessly done. You see, people like yourself, it takes us years to get that right. And there you are. You just do it so effortlessly.
One of my 2000, I lost a bet in 2014 to a good friend of mine called Waweru, and the bet was that if I couldn't memorize something quickly enough and speak it out, I'd work in a radio station for a year. And I actually did as a part-time gig. So I did that for 2014. I worked at the Kenya's Nation FM drive show with a lovely lady called Mombi. So I practiced this because I lost a bet, and I did it for quite a while, and I enjoyed it. I think radio is such an important space. So I loved it. I really enjoyed myself.
I'm glad you did, because I mean that actually means that your audio. My little one's tutor always says it, that her audio learning is much better than her written learning type of thing. So the fact that you're able to memorize in an audio manner, it's quite impressive actually. So it's funny. I feel like I'm chatting to my little girl through your brain. It's the weirdest thing. It's really strange, because the way you think, I'm like, my gosh, okay, so I need to just calm myself down and really be just have a better understanding of what is going on in your brain.
So a long time ago, I used to date a Dutch young lady, fantastic person, 2018. I needed to learn the language because I went there for quite a bit. And one of the things that I realized very quickly was the fastest way for me to learn the language was to have audiobooks in Dutch and English. And in about 4 months, I was able to have what was, I came to find out quite later, pretty decent Dutch. Like I could pronounce the words, I could pronounce people's names, I could ask for things with the accent. And I from then on, every time I've bought a book, and I'm a big reader, so reading is not something I love doing. But anytime I get a book like this, so this is how you can get so good they can't ignore you, right? Carl Newport, fantastic. What I do is I get the physical book, and then I also get the audiobook because I'm on Audible, and I spend more money on Audible than I spend on Netflix, right? Because my kids, I have a daughter, 14 and 12, are always on that. And I find that by listening and just having the book to reference, I'm able to go through, 3-4 books a month. And these are not small books. Like, these are thick books, right? These are like well done books. And it's something I wonder if I was able to do when I was much younger, because I'm a very big manga fan. And I've realized that my younger daughter, who's 12, who, struggles quite a bit, of course, because she's inherited it from her
Is
dad.
she in a way the same as you? Does she struggle with
Yes,
dyslexia or the ADHD?
right. Both. So
Ah,
older one, more dyslexia, younger one, more ADHD. But still, it's a bit of a challenge. One of the things I've started doing is getting them manga books because they've got the pictures, they've got the text, and they've got the excitement and the coloring.
yeah.
And they have been tearing through that stuff. So we've
Oh,
got manga
wow.
books for Christian education, manga books for storytelling. And the more you start getting into it, the more you realize there's even manga books for history, there's manga books for the Bible if you're a religious individual, and there's manga books for even geography and the like. And I feel like now with content creation becoming so easy and manga being something you can literally do on ChatGPT, or any other AI tool you have, we can start doing manga for math. We can do manga for science. We could do manga for geography. We could do manga for anything. And the opportunity is endless. It's just now the creatives who need to get in there and do their thing.
Oh man, I'd love to know more as to how you got your kids into reading, especially with dyslexia and ADHD, because it's really such
Yeah.
a massive struggle. And you've just got it on lockdown, literally.
It's because here's the thing. I want them to read. So I don't care what they read. I just care that they're reading it. So when we go into a bookshelf and I'm like, just go pick something that you like, they're going to pick the books that they are interested in. For me, it's not about the book itself. It's about you're reading something. So just get them and it's kind of like if you want your kids to be healthy, right? And you're trying to force them to eat greens in the way we eat greens. It's not going to work. But if you take, cauliflower or whatever it is that you're trying to get your kids to eat, and then cook it in a way that is fantastic. Like if they like fries, do a fried cauliflower something, right? Or if they're into chocolate, do a cauliflower chocolate baked something. Like take it and make it so that you have my mom puts it really well, velvet glove, steel hand. Like whatever it is you want them to do is inside the velvet glove, and you support them in that way. What you find is they'll still get part of what they want, but you'll still get what you want at the end of the day, which is learning. And eventually, my kids have done pretty well in the learning system that they're in, despite the differences in the way their mind is designed.
Now, tell me something like, God, man, I'm just loving our time together, but we just have to wrap things up. With your app and the incredible work that you've done, how important was it for you to humanize everything that you have created? Like, as you say, the cross-sector innovation, the intersection of edtech, fintech, and the social entrepreneurship where Africa's next big leap may merge. The human side
Right.
of tech, why empathy, storytelling, and local context must shape every innovation on content. I mean,
Right.
that's really amazing. Please tell us more about that as we wrap up.
If you look at hyperscalers, like the Amazons, the Googles, and all of these massive companies, it's shareholder value that they're trying to optimize for. They're not optimizing for humans. They're not optimizing for engagement with folks, for the folks' benefit. They're optimizing it for shareholder value. And I think that as the world has progressed and you looked at our Gen Z who are really giving every government everywhere in the world trouble because they're so
Yes.
unhappy with the way things have been done, right? They're like, we're tired of this capitalism extractive
Yeah,
mindset.
they're just
I
questioning
think
everything.
they're just exhausted.
Yeah,
That's like
yeah.
the next billion-dollar businesses will be businesses that are focused and centered around people, the values of community, and being able to move people's ambitions, goals, and in every way, honestly, feelings forward. And so that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to make sure people feel thought about, they feel cared for, they feel looked into, they feel spotlighted. Because the saying, people forget what you do for them, but they never forget how you made them feel. And I think we've gotten
Yes.
into a generation where feelings matter more in many sectors than the product itself. How does the iPhone 17 make you feel? It's not so much what does it do for you. It's not about ego and trying to show everybody I have a better this or I have a better that. People are getting over that capitalism mindset. So in education and technology, we're doing the same thing. We're like, it's not about getting 1 billion users. No, it's about making sure every experience somebody has, they walk away feeling heard, feeling seen, feeling recognized, and feeling acknowledged. And so that's what we're currently building. And we think we're going to do a good job. We're going to launch our new products in 2026. And we'll definitely be in SA trying to make sure it makes sense there.
Tonee, I definitely know that you are doing incredible work already. And you have literally given me so much today, and I really, really, truly appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much for being my host today. Oh my gosh, thank you. Sure.
Take care, everyone.
Yeah,
And it
thank
was
you
such
so
a
much.
pleasure. And it is now 5 minutes to 11, no, to 12 your time, because I'm 1 hour ahead of you. And have a good day. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Thank you so much. That's my co-host Tonee Ndungu, who joined us in, and he's just such an incredible human being. And we're going to take a quick short break, and we're going to be back as to wrap things up and hand over to the beautiful Matego on planting the seed. But it's been so incredible. We'll be back in just a moment. Thank you so much for choosing Channel Africa.
Tech Africa on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.